Rock Hard Riffs, the rock and roll guitar channel. Well, hey there guys, this is Rock Hard Riffs, the rock and roll guitar channel for the self-taught. In today's video, we're asking the age-old question, Les Paul or Stratocaster? Now, this video is basically being designed for more like beginners, but you folks that are more experienced, please add to what maybe I might miss. Chime in the comments, I'd really appreciate that. And hey, if you happen to be new to our channel, please check out some of our other stuff, and if you like what we do, please subscribe. We would certainly appreciate that. Both of these guitars, you can't go wrong with either one, but there might be some things that you prefer about one over the other. Now let's take the Les Paul first. Okay, sometimes Les Pauls tend to be a little on the heavy side. They can be kind of heavy, so keep that in mind. Not that there aren't some Strats that are really, really heavy too, especially the ones made of ash. Not all of them, but some are pretty darn heavy. Now this one, again, this is a mahogany body, mahogany neck, maple top, and a rosewood fretboard. The body on it, let me give you a quick look at it. You can see how we kind of have 90-degree angle corners on this thing, right? This can be a little bit uncomfortable for some people, especially this part where you lay your forearm on. You'll see the Strat has what's called a belly cut right in here. I don't really notice that so much, but I do notice the rounder edge on that. Now Gibsons in general, this is an Epiphone, but it's basically the same thing. They have a shorter scale length. That means from the bridge to the nut. So in turn, that means that the strings aren't quite as tight as a Strat. That has a longer scale length, like about 3/4 of an inch, if I remember correctly. So the strings need to be tighter. Okay, so these are easier to bend. The Les Paul, a little bit easier to bend. Also the fretboard, or radius as they call it, that is the shape of the fretboard this way, tends to be very, very flat. And really, those are the biggest differences between the guitars other than the pickups. Generally, a Les Paul comes with humbucking pickups. Sometimes they come with P90s, which are single coil pickups, but generally they come with humbuckers, which give you maybe a little bit of a fatter sound. Moving on to the Stratocaster. Okay, like we were talking about scale length, this is a little bit longer, so the strings need to be a little bit tighter. They're not as easy to bend, but you can always down tune to help that. Also, most Stratocasters come with a vibrato bar, or whammy bar, or whatever, or a trem bar, whatever you want to call it. The true name is vibrato bar, but you know, who's counting? So that's kind of an added plus if you want that. Otherwise, if you're a beginner, this thing can kind of confuse things. Push it out of the way, leave it out of there, or just unscrew it completely if it bothers you. Also, the radius of the fretboard on this neck tends to be just a little bit rounder, which can be more comfortable for some people's hands. Also, the neck shape itself, these tend to be C-shaped, as they call it, and on the Les Paul, they are more like a D-shaped, and that does make a big difference, believe it or not. Definitely mess around with both guitars to try to decide which one is the best for you. Now let's take a quick look at the body up close. Now as you see there is a massive bevel here. That's what's called a belly cut. And that is really big, and that's in case the guitar's leaning up against you. It doesn't quite cut into your ribs as much. Not so much belly, more like ribs. But this is also rounder right here. As you can see, the cut is rounder, even though it's black. It's hard to see. It's a little more comfortable that way, for me anyway. Also, as you can see, the Stratocaster is a little bit bigger than the Les Paul. It's a larger guitar. So if you want a smaller guitar, you might prefer the Les Paul. If you're a bigger guy, you might prefer, or girl, you might prefer the Stratocaster. Now another thing is the frets tend to be a little bit further apart because of the scale length on the Stratocaster. So there's more room for your fingers. If you have big fingers, the Stratocaster might be more for you. Now another thing as far as reaching the upper frets, both are pretty good, but I think the Strat is a little easier to reach those higher frets than the Les Paul. That's basically most of the stuff about the Strat and the Les Paul. Again, the pickups here, single coils as you can see. Also the pickup position switch, which is just above the tone and volume knobs there. This has 5 positions, where this one has 3. So the Stratocaster has a little more flexibility in tone. So now let's listen to some tones. Let's listen to the Stratocaster clean. This is an original song I wrote. the Les Paul. I don't really have any clean songs that I made with this, but this is semi-clean. Check out the tone of this. Okay, now let's listen to this with some heavy distortion on it. The kind of distortion is kind of like what's called a rat pedal. It's pretty nasty, but it just with these single coil pickups, it sounds absolutely, in my opinion, amazing with it. Check this out. Okay, now check out the Les Paul in a distorted tone. You make out the tone difference. Does it matter to you? And again, this is over a cheap little camera, over YouTube. The sounds are compressed kind of badly. They sound maybe a little, well, they definitely sound better live or in person. But this gives you a reasonable idea of what the tones sound like. In the top comment, I'm putting two different videos in. One of Jimi Hendrix playing the Stratocaster, and the other of Jimmy Page playing the Les Paul. And these are both live concerts. Check these out. I mean, if you want to hear a difference in tone, this will really give you a good idea. Make sure you check those out. Again, those are the two videos in the top comment. If you're really looking to try to make a decision, trying to figure it out before you go listen to one or play with one, listen to these videos. They really give you a good idea of the difference in tone. Which one would I take? I tend to be more of a Gibson style player, but I absolutely love this Stratocaster. This is a Fender Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster. This is made in Mexico. It has one less fret than most normal Stratocasters, but I don't miss it at all. This is an absolutely killer guitar. Absolutely love it. And so is this Epiphone. I love Epiphones. They have really stepped up in the past several years. Of course, I love my Gibsons too. They play fantastically. I'd take any one of them, right? So really, or do you have bigger hands? I'd probably go with the Strat, right? That would be my opinion. So, all right, guys, that's it. Let us know what you think in the comments. That's really important. We'd like to hear from you. All right, guys, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next video.